Hey everybody, this is going to be an interesting food for thought because there's something that I just keep thinking about that is driving me absolutely mad within the EV industry. Kind of started by Tesla and is sadly catching on to more of the auto industry, not just within startups specifically, but also even in, well, automotive veterans like Volvo, for example. And this issue today I want to talk about is automakers delivering unfinished products due to software. And in this video, I don't exactly have a solution. I don't have a specific answer. All I'm really doing is speculating and theorizing and coming up with my own personal thoughts and opinions on the whole matter. It's just, this is becoming a bit of an issue, and at this point, I think we all need to finally start asking ourselves, are we going a bit too far with this deliver the product now, finish it later strategy? Have we gone a bit too far at this point? Because I don't know, this issue is particularly frustrating, especially considering how much money is going out of your wallet when you buy these vehicles. And so, without further ado, let's begin. So to be clear, the exact issue that I am covering today is software updates and unfinished products coming off the factory line and into consumers' hands. And this is a bit infuriating because a car is not exactly a cheap item you buy. I mean, unless you buy a piece of junk off the used market. But EVs, despite that, their used market is starting to actually formulate. They're still not particularly cheap. And so that doesn't really matter at this point. But there's been a few launches within the past that I just absolutely leaves me confounded as to why automakers would do this to their consumers. There's this quote out there from one of my least favorite YouTubers, but the thing is, this quote is so true. I actually do agree with it myself. It has to do with Marques Brownlee's quote about never buying a product based on potential future software updates. It's a very good quote from MKBHD, especially when you're shopping for new bleeding edge tech or new bleeding edge automotive vehicles in this case. And this used to not really apply to the auto industry that much. I mean, unless you were concerned about potential new mechanical designs and the reliability of that, okay, it does slightly apply there. But for the most part, until Tesla came around, vehicles weren't really software defined at all. And as a result, whatever you bought from the factory was basically it. It was a complete finished product, and pretty much the only time you need to swap out components or fix anything is if it happens to break sometime after you pick it up. Typically, the product doesn't show up broken or non-functioning from the factory, and if it does, then the dealer doesn't even sell you the car to begin with. They get it fixed up before they actually put it up for sale. So yeah, back then, you really couldn't buy a car that was completely unfinished from the factory. But Tesla, on the other hand, started to kind of change that with the rollout of software updates. Now, on one hand, I'm not completely against the idea of software updates for a car. There's a few things within the vehicle that actually I believe should be getting frequent software updates that sadly a lot of cars today even don't get. Like, for example, my car, a 2019 Buick LaCrosse Hybrid, has the factory navigation. But unfortunately, while you could get updates for it, there is an infrastructure to do it. The thing is, it's not just something you can download from Google Maps or something like that. No, you have to go to the dealer and purchase a new SD card with map navigation data, or, well, that's not even the case with my car. I actually have no idea what's holding the map data on my car. Most of the time, it's held within an SD card that's found somewhere in the center console. There are various instances where that's not the case, such as my car. So yeah, you basically have to take the car into the dealership to do an update on your maps data, which business and destination locations often change. Like, businesses won't always stay exactly where they are located. Sometimes they will upgrade to a bigger facility. And if they are upgrading to a bigger facility, well, sometimes they have to move to a location that can fit a bigger facility for them. And as a result, address changes for businesses. That's the biggest thing that infuriates me, is so many businesses in my local community just have happened to have moved within the past 6 to 7 years. As a result, because my navigation navigation is 6 to 7 years old, it has no idea that those businesses have moved, and therefore I can't use the factory navigation on my car. I have to plug in my phone, which is another reason why I like having Apple CarPlay, guys. That's something that I do care about here, and there's one of your biggest reasons why. So yeah, there are some things that should receive software updates, such as location data for points of interest and charging stations for electric vehicles, for example. There are some things that should receive updates. Maps data in particular being my biggest one that should receive it. But Tesla, on the other hand, has decided to update a few other things down the road. And a lot of it happens to be motor tuning, for example. They will find new refinements to motor tuning, and as a result, they can find a way to get the car to drive more efficiently. I mean, back in the day, it's not really that true as of today, unfortunately, but back in the early Tesla days, including like early Model 3 days, once upon a time, you could actually get a software update that increases the efficiency of your car thanks to better motor tuning. And yeah, that's quite impressive. If Tesla found a way to make your car run more efficient, I think it's cool that they allow your existing car that you already bought to be able to run more efficiently. That genuinely, that is very cool. And so there are points where the whole updating the entire car isn't really the worst idea in the world. But you could probably see where this is going. The problem is a lot of automakers now, and Tesla is one of them, have been using this as an excuse to be able to start shoving products out the door when they're not fully ready just yet. Sure, it's nice to be able to gain new features when they're thought of later after buying the car. That's fine and dandy and all, but when there's basic features that are kind of expected or actually even advertised before the car even launches, well, when those features aren't there when you take delivery of the vehicle, it becomes a bit infuriating. Take the Cybertruck, for example. I'll use other vehicles aside from Tesla, because Tesla's not the only one guilty of doing this, but a big one when it comes to the Cybertruck actually has to do with FSD. There was no FSD capabilities at all with the Cybertruck when it launched. Despite that, on day one, when you could pre-order the Cybertruck, you could get FSD, and it was advertised with FSD, just like any other Tesla you can buy. And yet, it took how long for the Cybertruck to finally get FSD? And that stuff aside, FSD isn't even the biggest offender. There are like actual hardware features that the Cybertruck had completely disabled at launch and didn't actually have functional until a few months after the launch of the Cybertruck. And that, to me, is very infuriating. Like locking differentials, for example. If I recall, the Cybertruck does have locking differentials. Owners weren't able to use them because they were disabled in software until Tesla finally decided to release the update to let people use those locking diffs. It's just, what? That's kind of infuriating. And then, okay, that's Tesla, for example. What about anyone else in the automotive industry? I'm going to turn to Volvo, because Volvo has decided to do some this stuff as well, where we have the Volvo EX30 and the EX90. These are cars with a new LiDAR system for ADAS stuff, and to my knowledge, it seems like they're never going to use it at this point. You bought a car with hardware that you're not utilizing, like, at all. They promised that, once the software was finished, the reason why they haven't activated the LiDAR stuff yet was because, well, the software wasn't fully developed. It wasn't finished yet, but they wanted to get the cars out the door. So the cars are out the door with all the LiDAR equipment, but they didn't function at launch. I think they're functional now, somewhat, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but to my knowledge, Volvo has kind of canceled the LiDAR stuff because reasons, I guess. I think it has to do with Luminar or something. Yeah, that's a bit inconvenient. And then we finally come to the actual part where it gets incredibly infuriating, and once again, Volvo is guilty of this too. Software bugs. Okay, I get it. Software bugs, there are some that will slip through even to the final product, even beforehand. My car, believe it or not, does actually have a couple software bugs, and unfortunately, there are no updates to fix those software bugs. You can only just restart the system by pulling the 12 volt. And unfortunately, as we are moving to a future where more cars are becoming software defined, because I guess that's the best way to control EVs, someone has decided, I guess. As we're moving to a more software-defined vehicle future, we're starting to see a lot of bugs actually make their way into brand new cars that it just makes you question what the heck is going on here. And so many automakers are guilty of rushing products out despite that, oh, we're moving to this new software-defined vehicle future. They're not ready at all. There are so many automakers that are guilty of this. Volvo, for example, EX90, EX30, they had a ton of bugs. Some of them were bad enough to the point where the vehicles became disabled. Those are some bad bugs. GM's Ultium platform. This was when GM was getting ready to start rolling out their software-defined platform, and it did not go well. It went very, very badly initially. There are still bugs that they're even trying to fix to this day. A lot of GM's Ultium products were so buggy, you constantly had to disconnect the 12 volt to reset the entire system so it would function properly. And then there's Lucid. This one confounds me the most because Lucid is selling vehicles with six-figure price tags. Yes, I know you can buy the Air for around $80,000, something like that. I'm well aware of that. But Lucid has been also very clear that they don't really want you to buy their cheapest Air product. No, they want you to buy the most expensive version of the product. They make this very clear in marketing and in the sales experience. They really want you to focus on the top of the line, the Air Pure. No, that's a peasant's toy. It's just there so we can say starting at this price. But no, you don't want the Air Pure. You want the Grand Touring. This has legitimately been their attitude. And the Grand Touring has always started with a six-figure price tag. And yet, during the launch, I will say they have cleaned up some of these bugs, but during the launch, the car was a buggy nightmare. It was just a complete, total software nightmare. And for over six figures, to me, that is completely unacceptable. And unfortunately, this has kind of happened again with the Gravity. You know, I thought that, okay, we got this software stuff figured out with a lot of the bugs patched from Lucid's early software days. Yeah, we got a lot of those bugs patched at this point for the Air, but the Gravity comes out and it just continues to be just riddled. The most, like, how the heck is this acceptable for a consumer product at this price point level of bugs? Why are we still here? It's been almost a year at this point since the Gravity, actually no, it's been over a year since the Gravity came out, and these bugs are just awful. Key detection issues. The car can't even see its own key fob inside the car. This is something we figured out how many years ago? My car has one of those similar key where, okay, yeah, it's wireless and the car doesn't start until it detects the key inside the car. This has been figured out years ago, and Lucid still has no idea how to detect a key fob, and yet this is a product you can buy today, and this is a product already in people's hands. And so it makes me question, why have we gotten to this point? I understand the rush for the software-defined vehicle because Tesla, at least so far still, even to this day, Tesla kind of has the best software period in any car, and because it happens to be software over the air updatable, that type of stuff, well, now other automakers want to do the exact same thing. And yeah, there are some benefits to being able to do this, but the problem is, I think they're focusing a bit too much on, oh, well, if we find something better, then we can, we'll just send it to the product later. But it's resulting in these automakers in delivering products that aren't fully baked. And it's really infuriating when you're spending how much money on these, especially in the EV industry, where everybody knows EVs are just a little more expensive than their gas car counterparts. Despite that, we're coming pretty close to equilibrium. Actually, we're almost balanced out at this point. It's a nightmare. It's just outright painful to watch these automakers trip over themselves marketing these new software-defined vehicles, and this is what we get, a complete buggy mess. And on one hand, okay, Legacy Auto, I'd kind of expect this to happen because they're mechanical automakers. companies, not software companies like Tesla. Tesla focuses on software for a few other departments, such as, well, their FSD type of stuff and charging. And Tesla is not your average automaker. And because of that, it's taking us some of our legacy a bunch of time to catch up and figure out how the heck they're supposed to make software-defined vehicles. It's just, this has become so annoying to watch them constantly release new products that aren't fully baked. And a lot of them have learned their lesson at this point that, okay, it's a complete total PR disaster and product line disaster if we actually don't fully ship a fully baked product just yet. GM has appeared to learn from this lesson. They've patched a lot of bugs with Ultium, and so far I don't really hear that much about them releasing vehicles that are so buggy that they become practically unusable. And I genuinely hope Volvo has learned from their lesson, because to my knowledge they actually took a huge hit on their reputation from this well, software defined not fully baked products thing with the EX30 and the EX90. They've got scathing reviews to the point where literally the cars actually ended up disabling themselves while driving, and that's dangerous, which goes against a lot of what Volvo's brand ethos is, being safety focused, if you know what I mean. And then there's Lucid. How is a complete software buggy mess a $100,000 experience? It's not. So this is why I bring up the question to you all. Why have we let automakers get to this point where apparently it's okay to start shipping half-baked products when they cost as much as they do? I thought we'd open up the conversation here. So yeah, I wanted to take some time to rant about this whole thing because it just infuriates me to no end. And I really hope that this is a wake-up call for other automakers to actually start giving us properly finished products instead of, oh, yeah, it's not complete now, but don't worry, it'll come in a future software update. Oh, how did that work for Fisker Ocean? Oops! Yeah, so that's all I have to say. What are your guys' thoughts on these software-defined vehicles? Do you have anything you want to continue along with the rant? Am I just a complete moron who has no idea what the hell he's talking about? Feel free to let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Do me a favor and interact with the stuff below. And also do me a favor and check out my Patreon page. I would very much appreciate that. This is the Random Alpha Drive, signing out.